My name is Yoav Kutner. I'm a co-founder and CEO at a company called Oro Inc. And in my previous lifetime, before I started this company, I co-founded a company called Magento. Does anybody know here Magento? Magento, I know in Germany, some people, okay. I was the CTO, I led the product and technologies there since we started and pretty much until I left. Magento was a B2C e-commerce platform. We designed it to be a B2C e-commerce platform. And as such, we were trying to solve a problem of many, many businesses that were trying to go online. And that's back in 2006, 2007. The e-commerce started becoming the kind of something that every business wanted to do. And a lot of them wanted to go online. So we created a platform, very flexible platform for that. What we started seeing was that throughout the years of working at Magento, that more and more companies that came to us were actually trying to not necessarily sell directly to consumers, but rather they were selling to another company, but they still wanted to have an online presence. So we started seeing this trend slowly. Being a flexible solution, being a flexible solution, we said, yeah, sure, we can do that. We can solve your B2B e-commerce problem using Magento. We tried that, but usually what happened, we could only get certain part of the way or a certain part of the features done correctly, and then soon enough we would hit the wall because we never designed Magento to solve the B2B e-commerce problem. So when I was traveling in Thailand, I'm sure a lot of you also travel in Thailand, they saw this saying, when it comes to B2B and B2C, they're very similar, but yet very different. So today, we're going to kind of focus on some of the stuff that we're going to see how they're different, how they are similar. I'm going to mention a little bit about my new company and what we do. And like I said, the difference between B2B and B2C e-commerce. So Oro Inc., we started the company a few months after I left Magento, 8 months after the acquisition by eBay. So Magento was acquired by eBay. I left about 8 months into that acquisition and decided it's too soon to retire, so we started a new company. Luckily for me, a lot of the management from Magento joined us, so my partners at Oro, Jari Carter led global sales. He was supposed to talk here today. At Magento, Dima Soroka was the lead architect. Some of you know him, actually, I see the faces, and was leading that project basically from 2007 until he left as well. And my former partner at Magento now joined us as well, Roy Rubin, co-founder of Magento and former CEO, is on our board as well. We also were joined by Moti Danino and Michael Basol, both that were leading products at Magento and now are helping us at Oro. So a lot of the team, their old team that used to be together. So today Oro Inc. is about over 170 people. We're closing on almost 180 people globally. Our headquarters is in Los Angeles, California. But the German market is extremely important for us, and last year we opened the company here in Germany. That's why I was doing a conference last week. I'm doing a conference here this week. German market is definitely a market that we're interested to being in, and we see that the market understands what we're doing. So it's a great place for us to be. We have also a dev office to support our EU operations in Poland, and we have most of our developers sitting in Ukraine, where we have 3 development offices. We have about 15 years of working with merchants and different types of merchants, different types of industries. And what we discovered is that no two merchants are alike. When you're building solutions, you have to build flexible solutions. So you can get maybe when you build your application, we can get you about 60, maybe even 80% of the way. But the 40 to 20% that's left, it's because you need tools that work for your business. We cannot create everything for everyone. We know that businesses need flexibility when it comes to their technologies. They cannot necessarily adapt fully to the technology. They need technologies that work for them. So that's something we bring with us, building flexible solutions. The second thing is we rely on open source. Again, open source is a philosophy a lot of times, sharing the code, etc. And we're not necessarily only into the philosophy. We use it as a strategy. We started as a very small company in Los Angeles, but being open source, sharing our code with the world, allowed our products to be adopted all over the world. It worked really great with Magento, and it's working really, really great right now with Oro. So open source is something that we truly believe in, creates an ecosystem that everybody benefits from. So we started Oro. We were doing actually services. Magento called us and said, can you help with some big projects? So we're working on Warby Parker project. We were working on Tom's Shoes projects that were struggling with Magento, and we were trying to help there. And that allowed us to be profitable very, very quick into creating this company. But our DNA, what we like doing is creating products. So as such, we took the profits and we put them and invested them in creating products. And we have 3 products today on the market. One is Oro CRM. Oro CRM is a very flexible, multi-channel CRM. It kind of redefines what you should expect from a CRM. It's not the traditional just leads and opportunities pipeline view. It actually gives you a real view of your customers and interactions with your customers across multiple touch points, as most businesses are. So if you need a CRM, if you want to look at how we're redefining what CRM is doing, check out orocrm.com. That's where you'll find a lot of information about that. We also have what we call a side product, because when we started these products, we also created something called Oro Platform. This is the one here. And Oro Platform is a general purpose business application platform. What does that mean? Allowing businesses to create custom applications. If they cannot find off-the-shelf products, we know that a lot, and there's numbers, about 40% of business applications are homegrown, custom. So we wanted to help these businesses and create some platform for them not to start from nothing, but to start from a better starting point, and you'll get all the features that you kind of expect and need in a business application, like user management, workflow engines, etc. So that's built into the Oro platform. Our latest product is the one in the middle, OroCommerce, and that's the one I'm going to kind of focus a bit about today. OroCommerce solves the B2B e-commerce problem. It was designed from the ground up to solve and cater to the B2B industry needs. So I mentioned we're open source, so how good are we doing? Well, we have what we call a dual licensing model. We have commercial open source enterprise edition that costs money, and we interact with customers, and we know them very, very well. But we also have thousands, tens of thousands, and I'll show you maybe even hundreds of thousands of users that are using our community edition products, the free edition. They don't have any relationship with us, and the only thing we can actually track is when they first log into the system. We get a ping, they're asking to see if there's any version update or any new notifications, and we collect all those domains. So we kind of clean it up from any kind of dev domains, any domains that are not real, and we start monitoring domains that are actively logging into the systems, and we call that active Oro Installs, and we have over 120,000 what we call active Oro Installs, people that are actively using the product all over the world. So that's kind of a good indication for us of how are we doing, how our products are being used around the world. So enough about us. Let's talk about what we promised you in 10 minutes. So B2B and B2B commerce at that, e-commerce. So let's start quickly. Definitions, B2B commerce right up here. One company wants to buy from another company. That's called business-to-business commerce, right? And today, like every other industry, that industry is starting to shift online, right? Interactions between humans is becoming scarce. People want to interact online. They want to use tools that work for them. And that's where B2B e-commerce comes from. So those are the definitions. But let's actually look at what are the actual use cases that we're building for. And there's a bunch that are listed here. So quickly, what they are. One is what we call the self-serve model. You might have a website, and you might be selling to consumers. You have no intention. You don't think you're B2B. And then one day, a company calls you and says, we like your products. We want to enable our office managers to buy off your catalog online. Guess what? You're selling to another business right now. Now, the problem is that they'll come with a set of features that they will have to have in your website in order to support this kind of relationship. You cannot tell them, go create one account and share the login across all the company. They will walk away. And if you think this is not a big opportunity, in the US last year, Amazon created a solution called Amazon for Business, and they're allowing now companies to sign up as corporate accounts on Amazon, have multiple users, have different roles for the users, different limitations for the users, and decide what those users can do. So that's a big, big thing and a big shift in the way that e-commerce is working, and you start having to cater to these corporate entities. The second one is what we know about B2B. If you try to imagine how B2B works, you have a buyer, you have a seller, they're interacting. A buyer did some research, finds a company interested in some of the products, submits a request for a quote. A salesperson answers that quote with a quote and pricing, and the salesperson, the buyer might come and say, okay, well, let's negotiate more, or I'm ready to buy, and puts in an order. Taking all this process online is what we're talking about in B2B e-commerce. Imagine how it's done today. Paper, pen and paper, phone systems, fax machines are still around in this world, and at best case scenario, people are using email. But taking all this process online is what we talk about in e-commerce. The next use case is B2B marketplaces. That means multiple buyers, multiple sellers, And you might be thinking about Alibaba and like that example, but let's make it a bit more focused. Maybe you're a big brand or a manufacturer, and you want to open and add and augment your catalog with other products from other vendors to sell to your customers. That's becoming a marketplace. Maybe you want to add services from third-party vendors on top of what you're selling. So these kind of marketplaces are becoming more and more common, where a B2B business wants to add more things that they can sell to their customers. The customers, in turn, might come and open an open bid to multiple vendors to submit the pricing so they can choose and select. And these kind of, we'll call it micro B2B marketplaces, are popping up more often than you think. Sometimes you don't even know that you're looking at a B2B marketplace because there's multiple businesses selling there. But more and more B2B companies, especially around with the economic crash that happened, said, well, we can actually sell direct as well, as long as maybe we don't compete with our channel, maybe pricing is a bit different, but we can do that. So why not? And if you think about it, they're not very sophisticated B2C sellers. They don't necessarily want to be big online merchants, but they do want to offer this kind of service, and they're looking for a platform that will serve most of their B2B and give them some simple B2C. And then there's B2B2C, et cetera, and all these permutations. So these are the use cases. OroCommerce is building all of these, and we're actually investing a lot in B2B marketplaces right now. So is it an interesting market? Do you think people are actually doing this? Well, Frost & Sullivan say that in 2012, $5.5 trillion in online transactions in the B2B market that were happening. That's a much bigger number that were happening in B2C e-commerce. Then by 2020, they expected to get to 12 trillion in online transactions in B2B. So let's quickly see how B2B and B2C commerce are similar, or how people are looking at it and at least thinking that it's similar. So 94% of B2B buyers actually research online before they make a decision. So that means that, like everybody else, even consumers, when I need something, the first thing that the buyer does, goes online and starts searching. So if you're a B2B company, manufacturer, brand, and you're not visible online, people are going to miss you. 94% of that are actually trying to do that. 74% of B2B buy from a website because it's more convenient than interacting with the salespeople. Well, isn't that something we also know, right? More and more of us are buying online, so the same thing in the B2B world. Nearly half of B2B researchers and buyers are millennials. So that should not surprise us. The generation that grew up with the internet, as a natural thing, now are becoming part of the workforce. And they're becoming bigger and bigger part of the workforce, and they're bringing their habits into their workplace. And 42% of research use mobile. So B2B is no different than B2C when it comes to mobile. Mobile is important. Buyers are using mobile devices to interact. Branding is extremely important. That means that even if you're a B2B in the old days, it looked like, I'll say a bad word, crap, right? Their website looked like crap, their branding looked like crap. That's changing. A lot of B2B companies understand that they need visibility. They're investing in brand, they're investing in design. This is a customer of ours that's launching on OroCommerce, Samuel Hubbard. They are very, very keen about their design. This is how a B2B website looks. This is how much they're investing in branding today. Great user experience. Exactly like in the B2C world. If a consumer comes to your website and they cannot use it, it's not usable for them, they'll jump off and go to the next one to buy. B2B is no different. Buyers that are going to start using online tools to buy from you, if they cannot use that, best case scenario, they'll pick up a phone and call your salesperson, but worst case scenario, they'll just go to your competitor and buy off from them. So great, we have to be focused on user experience. So let's start looking at how they're different, how B2B is different, what kind of key features we need for B2B. So the first thing is a mindset. We're not selling to individuals. We're working with corporations. We're working with companies. And that's maybe a trivial thing to say, but it's not a trivial thing to think about. When you're designing these products, you have to keep in mind you're working, and your target is companies, not individuals. We have to talk about impulse buying versus kind of a process buying. When you're a consumer, you need new shoes, you go online, you find shoes, you buy shoes. You need a watch, you search for a watch, you find a watch, you buy it. When you're a company, there's some process behind it. Maybe there's a new contract that you sign. Now there's a new project that you have to start. So there's a lot of thinking going around that, and this is a longer term kind of buying. There's more things that get involved there, so it's a more complex buying process. Corporate accounts, we talked about it in the self-serve model, but this is actually applicable to all. even if you're doing the buyer-seller kind of model, you still have multiple users under a single account. Those users have different permissions, different features of what is available for them. There's restrictions on them. You cannot have a company call you and say, oh, I need you to add a new user because we just hired somebody, and don't forget to remove John Smith because we fired him. They have to control this. They want to control what roles these users have, what they do with your system, and you want to give this kind of control to them. Amazon has this kind of things today as well. Frontend optimized for B2B buying. So again, we're not solving here a B2C problem. We don't want to get customers in and out as fast as possible for the biggest order value that we can get. We're building a tool for buyers to use, and this is a different mindset. So we have to build features that actually work for what buyers are trying to do online. For example, buyers multitask. Your B2C customers do not multitask. We want them in and out. Buyers for a corporation, for a company, will multitask, meaning that they might work on multiple projects at the same time, negotiating pricing with you, getting new bids and new quotes from you. So they multitask. So for us, as an example, we need to build that. We have what we call in OroCommerce a multiple shopping list, so they can actually create multiple lists, create requests for quotes for them, negotiate quotes on individual sales lists as they work on them. We have contract lists and stuff like that, so they can actually do their work in your system, and they're going to love you for that. Another good example is, again, buyers do research. They're ready to buy, but they know they might have a very, very long list of what they want to buy. You want to make it efficient for them to buy. Quick order form where they can upload a file with everything they need and then request a quote to submit an order, or just search by SKU very, very quickly. You don't necessarily want to have them searching your catalog or navigating through your catalog like you'll do to a B2C customer. Imagine if you're a manufacturer in the B2B space, you might have hundreds of thousands of SKUs, maybe millions. You don't want buyers to start navigating. You want to give them really, really efficient tools to use your system. Personalized catalogs. Again, when we're in the B2C world, we want to have as much products as possible to the wider audience as possible. When we are a B2B company, we might service different industries at the same time. Some of our product lines may be not applicable to everybody else. So we're creating these personalized catalogs for specific accounts that we're working with, maybe even to specific users in those accounts. Remember the example with the office manager? Maybe for office managers, they can only see paper and print ink. But for the manager, maybe they can see phones or whatever else we're selling. So these personalized catalogs are key to create as many of them as you need to service the customers that are actually logging into your system. Multiple price lists is one of the biggest features that has to be designed from the ground up in order to actually solve what B2B companies need. Pricing in B2B is nothing like B2C. In B2C, we get pricing that is kind of for everybody. Maybe we have group pricing, we use coupons, we have specials, we have promotions. When it comes to B2B, price is negotiated, almost on an account basis. That means, remember, we might have hundreds of thousands, millions of SKUs. Now add to that the complexity that every account that I'm interacting with might request their own pricing. So you can see how these combinations of pricing, permutations of pricing can become huge, and you need to have, it has to work efficiently both on the front end and to be able to manage it from the back end. So again, it's a big, big feature, and not only the amount of pricing, but also how you price. In B2C, usually price may be individual items, maybe you have bundles. When it comes to B2B, you actually have pricing that might be different between two accounts. Maybe one account buys with you by volume. Maybe another account buys crates. Maybe another account buys individual items. So you have to be able to build all these complex pricing rules into your system. Workflows is something that, again, is very important to B2B and B2B customers. Your customers might interact with you in different ways. One account might have different requirements from another account in order to use your online system. Again, not the B2C story where we have one flow for everybody and we're trying to optimize it. A lot of times in the B2B world, the customer will define to you how they're going to work with you and how they're going to interact. As an example here, we have the quote-to-order workflow in OroCommerce. It's completely configurable. You can actually run multiples of those at the same time, servicing different accounts differently on how they're interacting from quote to ordering items on your list. As an example, we can have a 5-step checkout, usual checkout for your imagination, but then one company calls and says, that's great, but in order for us to use the system, any order about 5,000 euros, we need to get a manager's approval. So in the old world, you'll go hire a developer, customize the checkout. but then another customer calls, and another, and another. So this is not the right approach. We believe that workflows is the way to do that, and every major process in OroCommerce is workflow-based. Just quickly, the other thing we have to build for in B2B is two sides, buyer and seller. We have to focus on the sales force, on the sales team, the people that are actually using it from your company and interacting with customers. And with OroCommerce, we actually have Oro CRM built in. So if you need the CRM, it's already built in for you. Your sales team can use it. But we're also designing the rest of the tools for the sales team so they can actually create quotes in the system, create orders for their customers, maybe even work with a customer online or in front of them in a meeting and create their personalized catalogs. So everything we talked about, we're allowing your sales team, your sales people to actually use the system as well. And we're building it with two things in mind, the buyers and the sellers. Mobile, we talked about how mobile is similar. The B2B people are using mobile, but we're also building mobile for the sales people as well. Imagine a salesperson standing in a conference like this with an iPad, creating a personalized catalog for a new customer, maybe adding pricing, creating a quote, sending it, and the person on the way to the airport, the customer just approves the order on his phone. So with that, thank you very much. We are here at booth 86 if you want to get a demo. And I don't know if we still have time for questions or not, but thank you.